lecture of biogrids brilliance. So today we are going to study about a main part of nervous system which is known as neuron. Then now what is meant by neuron? When we say neuron, it is basically a structural and functional unit of nervous system. Now when we say structural and functional unit, तो structural और functional unit का मतलब क्या होता है? जब हम न्यूरॉन को कहते हैं कि वो एक तरीके का structural unit है, इसका मतलब ये है nervous system के जो structures form करने में जो help करता है जो, उसको हम कहते हैं neuron. So basically the component which helps to form the structure of a system or of any part is known as structural unit. Now अब उसको functional unit क्यों बोलते हैं? क्योंकि हमने जैसे पिछले लेक्चर में पढ़ा है nervous system controller regulate करने का काम करता है with the help of sending, receiving or detecting the signals. तो ये जो signals receive करने में या send करने में या detect करने में जो part help करता है उसको हम कहते हैं neuron. So nervous system का structure बनाने में और उसका function करने के लिए जो main part responsible होता है उसे हम कहते हैं neuron. That's why neuron is known as structural and functional unit of nervous system. Now, जब हम न्यूरॉन के बारे में बात करते हैं तो न्यूरॉन के कुछ ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स हैं जिनके बारे में हमको पता होना चाहिए अगर हम नर्वस सिस्टम के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं तो न्यूरॉन जो रहता है वो बेसिकली एक तरीके का सेल होता है और जब हम सेल की बात करते हैं तो इट मींस द लार्जेस्ट सेल इन आवर बॉडी. दिस इज द फर्स्ट पॉइंट. सेकंड पॉइंट, it do not have power of division. It do not have power of division. यानी न्यूरॉनल सेल में डिवीजन का पावर नहीं होता है. These are the two major points जिसके बारे में हमको पता होना चाहिए अगर हम न्यूरॉन्स के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं तो. Now, this is a basic simple structure of a neuron. और ये जो स्ट्रक्चर न्यूरॉन का हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं उसे हम कहेंगे मल्टीपोलर न्यूरॉन. क्या कहेंगे? मल्टीपोलर न्यूरॉन. न्यूरॉन के बहुत सारे टाइप्स होते हैं जो हम अगले लेक्चर्स में पढ़ेंगे. फिलहाल के लिए हम जो स्ट्रक्चर पढ़ रहे हैं न्यूरॉन का कॉमन टाइप ऑफ न्यूरॉन का स्ट्रक्चर हम पढ़ रहे हैं जिसको हम कहते हैं मल्टीपोलर न्यूरॉन. नाउ व्हाई इट इज नोन एज मल्टीपोलर न्यूरॉन? क्योंकि इस न्यूरॉन में बहुत सारे प्रोसेसेस जैसे एक्सॉन हो गया, साइटॉन हो गया, डेंड्राइट्स हो गया, डेंड्रॉन्स हो गए, बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रोसेस हैं. So if a neuron is possessing or if a neuron is having more than 2 to 3 process, it is known as multipolar neuron. Now when we talk about a neuron is basically divided into two parts. From here the upper part and from here the lower part. This complete part is known as cyton. This complete part is known as cyton. And this complete part is known as axon. So the part of a neuron or a structure of a neuron is basically divided into two major parts. This one is known as cyton and this one is known as axon. Now let us go in detail that what are the detailed structure. When we mention about this thing, this pointed axis, then this pointed axis is known as dendron. When this dendron pointing process goes further branching process, it is known as dendrite. It is known as dendrites. Second, this is the basic structure which possesses in every eukaryotic cell or in normal cell, that is known as nucleus. This is known as nucleus. Now there is basically a cytoplasm present inside that. However, in every cell the cytoplasm is present in the same manner. A cytoplasm is present inside this cyton, which is known as normal cytoplasm, or you can say as a neuroplasm. Why neuroplasm? Because the structure is neuron, and the plasm, which means a liquid-like substance that is present inside the cyton or a neuron, it is known as cytoplasm. Apart from that, there are some minute structures which you can be seeing over here. These minute structures are known as Nissel's granules. These are known as Nissel's granules. Now these Nissel's granules are basically gray in color. That's why when we will be studying about the brain part, in that part of certain part comes about the cortex. So the brain part is known as cortex part, that is made up of grey matter. So when we say that the brain part cortex is made up of grey matter, it means it is made up of cyton, or we can say head of neuron. We can say an axon as a body of neuron. So this is head and this is body. Moving on to next. This middle part, we can say it as a axon hillock. What we can say? Axon hillock. Or we can say it as a neck of neuron. Now the tube-like structure which is running across over here, that is known as axon, which is a tube-like structure which runs throughout the neuronal part, or which we can say it as a body of neuron. It is known as axon. Now inside the axon there is a plasm or a liquid-like substance which we can say it as a exoplasm. What we can say it as a exoplasm. The same as a cytoplasm or neuroplasm, we can say it also as a exoplasm. Why we mention it specifically as an exoplasm? Because this plasm or fluid-like liquid, this is present inside the axon. Correct? Now, coming over here, there is a branching pattern from the axon. This is a branching part of axon, this is branching part of axon. Now, the branching part of axonal tube, we can say this coming over here as a single tube, and over it is a branching process. So, this branching process of axon is known as telodendron. What is this known as? Telodendron. Now this branching process has a bulb-like structure over here. This bulb-like structure can be said as axon terminal, or somewhere it is also mentioned as synaptic knobs. What is mentioned as synaptic knobs? Knobs, why we say wherever in our home there are usually a knob-like structure which we use to open and close the door. The shape that resembles like a knob. Hence it is also known as synaptic knobs or axon terminal. Now when we come from upper part to lower part, we can see some part of covering on the axon. So this covering are known as myelin sheath. What is known called as myelin sheath. Now what is this myelin sheath and which cells helps to made up? You can see a certain type of cells over here. This cell is known as Schwann cells. What it is known as? Schwann cells. Schwann cells helps to make the myelin sheath, and these myelin sheaths are known as white in color. Why white in color? Because they are the fat deposition. They are basically a deposition of fat. So when we will study about the brain, there will come two parts basically. Outer part of brain known as cortex, inner part of brain which is known as medulla. So the cortex is always made up of grey matter. Medulla part is always made up of white matter. So the cortex which appears grey in color is due to the cyton which is made up of micelle granules. This cortex matter of brain is made up of micelle granules, and micelle granules in grey in color. Hence the cortex of brain appears in grey in color. Second, why the medulla of brain appears white in color? Because the medullary part or the medulla part of brain is made up of axonal body, and the axonal body is covered by myelin sheath, and the myelin sheath appears in white in color. Why? Because there is a position of fat. That's why, that is a basic reason why the medullary part of brain is white in color. Now apart from this, the tube which is known as axon or the body of neuron, it branches over here which is known as telodendron. The branching process ends in a knob-like structure which is known as synaptic knobs or axon terminal. This is the basic structure about a neuron. There are basically three types of neuron: multipolar neuron, which we can say this. There is also one type of neuron which is known as bipolar neuron. There is also one more type of neuron which is known as unipolar neuron. Unipolar neuron, it means, as the name suggests, uni, it will be having only a one process. For example, a cyton